permits, discretionary revocation by county. You know, this is important for a number of reasons. In looking at everything that we've looked at, our staff went out and we discovered that my opponent leads the state of Colorado in discretionary revocations of CCW permits. And so what does that mean? Right? Discretionary revocations. Well, we know that a few years ago, the sheriffs had ultimate authority under the CRS in terms of revocation or denials of CCWs. Well, legislators throughout the state, because this is a big Second Amendment state, Colorado, with hunting and weapons and so forth, they changed the law. And the law says, under CRS 1812-203, Colorado is a shall issue state, meaning that if you meet the requirements outlined in the CRS, you, the county sheriff, must issue the permit. And the reason they did that is sheriffs would, if you didn't vote for me, I didn't give you a CCW permit. If you're an honorary deputy, you got a CCW permit, but if you weren't, or you pissed me off, you didn't get one. Well, the sheriffs statewide were violating people's Second Amendment rights. So legislation was passed so that wouldn't happen. Now let me explain what shall means in terms of penal codes or codes. You know, law enforcement officers, in terms of infractions and misdemeanors, we have discretionary decision, right, in the interest of justice. So I'll give you an example of a discretionary decision in the interest of justice. I'm a police officer, I'm driving down the road, you're speeding, I pull you over. And I contact you. I talk to you, I say, you know why I pulled you over? Oh, yes, sir. You know, I think I was probably going a little too fast. Yes, you were. You know, you need to watch your speed, especially at this time and hour. You know, you just go through the process. And then you have the discretion or not whether to issue that person a ticket, right? But in felonies, we don't have that discretion. You must effect the rest. So in misdemeanors and infractions, we have discretion based on the interest of justice. And that interest of justice is what is best for the common good, right? Did that person understand what they did wrong? You know, and that type of thing. And so that's how we make those decisions. Well, when the penal code or the CRS says shall, you have no discretion, right? It doesn't say may I, right? Should I, could I? It says you shall. And so what has happened is we believe that when sheriffs throughout the state uses discretionary revocation as a means, then we believe they're violating the law, right? And we know that our opponent has said that the new law that the governor had established regarding magazine capacities, we saw that they filed a lawsuit, they were kicked out. They've now filed appeal to that lawsuit here at the end of the month. And they're trying to, say that the law is unconstitutional. Well, it may or may not be. I don't know. That's for the courts to decide. But what I do know is that my opponent says he will not enforce the law. Well, there's a lot of laws on the books that I disagree with. But, I'm paid as a law enforcement officer to enforce the law fairly and equally. Not to pick and choose the laws I enforce. It's a violation of our oath to office. And so when you have somebody like my opponent come out and say he's going to violate the law by not enforcing it, that is wrong. And so he says he's a big Second Amendment guy, and he's joining this lawsuit, but then his actions are different. And so...
How do you think to me it's very transparent, like everything you're saying. It's a big macho thing, all these liberals, screw them, and I won't enforce the law. But so he thinks he's going to appeal to what he thinks the mentality of Keller County is,
yes, and
where it's gung ho. And I think if he's attacked on that mentality, that will help people say, yeah, that don't make sense. You like work it out with the law, with the courts. And then he can...
Well, here's the thing. And you know what he's doing, but it's a waste of taxpayers' money and time. It's a waste of the court's time. So the sheriffs are joining this lawsuit to make this grandiose stand on that issue. They still have no standing, even through the appellate process. If people ask me, and they say, "Hey, would you have joined the lawsuit?" And my response is no. And they go, "Oh, well, you're not a gun guy?" And I go, "No, that has nothing to do with being a gun guy. What that has to do is being responsible to your community in your office." So if I opposed the law and I wanted to make issue with it, I would come out publicly and I would say, I oppose the law that Governor Hickenlooper signed into law, and this is why. And then if I wanted to change that, I would contact legislators. There you go, thank you. Tongue tied. I would contact, for instance, Chris Holbert, right? He's a constitutional conservative Republican, a lot of gun legislation. If I wanted to change the law, I would contact those people that write the law, right, and get it passed, and ask them, "Hey, I don't agree with the law. What can I do to help you change the law?" And so use our resources appropriately. This grandstand stuff accomplishes absolutely nothing but a lot of discord among the community, right?
Well, 2 recalls that were the Democrats who signed that, or in favor of that law, they got recalled, and that made a hell of a statement to the state, which said, you guys better tread carefully. Hickenlooper may lose his bid for re-election because of that law.
And he may lose that. But the point is that you have to enforce the law equally, and you can't pick and choose, right? And so we know that he hasn't told the public the truth, and people ask me about the Second Amendment all the time, right? Because it's right, rural guns and stuff, and hunting and all that kind of stuff. And this is what I tell people. If you really want to know, I am an advocate of the Second Amendment. However, it really doesn't matter what my opinion is. It really doesn't, because I'm not a legislator. I don't write the laws. I enforce them equally. So really, whether I'm a gun guy or I'm not a gun guy, it doesn't matter, because that's not my job, right? My job is to enforce the law equally.